When I first got into the real estate industry, way back over 2 decades ago, my only goal in getting into real estate was actually to be able to purchase, buy and flip properties, as well as invest into homes. Now, more importantly, I got into the industry pretty much doing my best of my own knowledge, trying to learn as much as I could. And it wasn't necessarily that what I knew got me in trouble, it's actually what I didn't know got me in trouble. So today I'm going to actually share with you what I've learned over the last 2 decades of buying, flipping, and basically being able to hold on to investment properties so I could be able to maintain and be able to build my real estate portfolio and be able to make a penny here and there. So hopefully you can be able to stay along, hopefully learn something. We're going to be taking about 25 to 35 minutes to be able to go over basic information about how to acquire real estate property investment, as well as how to buy it, and what's going to be needed to close the property and to flip it and be able to make and capitalize your investment. Now, when I first got in the real estate industry, like I stated, I realized, really quickly that when I was buying a property, I thought, just like Lightning McQueen, it was numero uno, el mio, sopio. Basically, I would do everything myself. So what I learned really quickly is there's a lot more than just fixing up a property. So in the very beginning, actually, I bought the property, found the property, rehabbed the property, as well as marketed the home and sold the home. And what I learned really quickly, and I got burned out really fast, is actually there's a lot of work, and I needed help real quick. So I'm going to share with you my first mistake that I did, and actually in doing so, how I learned is actually my first mistake was, I can do it all myself mentality. That was definitely my first mistake. So when I first got into flipping properties, like I stated, I actually bought the property and actually rehabbed the entire transaction myself and actually sold it. So I was actually the accountant, I was actually the realtor, I was the handyman, I was the electrician, the plumber, and so forth and so forth. And in a transaction that should have taken me about 30 days to be able to rehab and get back in the market, it took me anywhere from 3 to 4 months. So that was actually really difficult, and not only was it difficult, it took a lot of time. And you know what? Eventually I got burnt out. So after the first 2 or 3 transactions that I did in flipping when I first got into the real estate industry, you know what? I realized I needed help. And over the last 20 years, I actually was very grateful to be able to get a team of associates to help me. Now this picture here, we did actually a team organization thanking party to all of our organizers, as well as all of our partners, and all the people that helped me to be able to buy property, flip property, as well as be able to sell and be able to purchase homes with my clients. So I'm actually been in the industry for a little over 20 years, and in doing so, I've actually had the ability to be able to buy and flip, as well as purchase properties and help my clients be able to purchase homes and be able to flip properties with my clients as well. So in the amount of 20 years, I've been able to acquire a phenomenal team that's been able to help me. And as you can see in the picture, only about half of the team actually showed up. We actually have everything from title reps, lenders, partners, buyer's agents, as well as title reps, escrow companies, and so forth and so forth. What I had to learn that no man is an island. I actually had to learn that really the hard way. And so in doing so, I actually had to step out of my own box and realize I can't do everything myself. And actually that was very humbling, because up until then I thought, hey, I could do everything myself. And I realized really quickly that's kind of impossible. To be everywhere at one place is kind of unrealistic. So how I was able to accomplish and be able to buy properties and flip them without burning myself out, I acquired my team. Now in doing so, we're going to break down what's necessary as far as having a team and requirements to having the right people by your side. So the way I'm going to be able to show you and be able to share with you my experiences to building the proper team, we're going to start with circles. Now the circles are basically, we're going to have an inner circle of group of people who are going to help you buy and flip properties, as well as we're going to have a middle circle, and then we're going to have an outer circle. Now let me be very frank and very truthful. There is no such thing as one part of the circle being more important than the other. It actually is very important to have everybody on the same page to be able to work with you and be able to look after everybody's best interest. But it's very important to differentiate who you need closer to you and who you can be able to not share as much information for. So first I'm going to start off with the inner circle. Now, most importantly, the inner circle, in my own experience, has probably been the hardest. We've actually had the ability to be able to, over the last several years, be able to have people, have mentors, actually have people who really are looking after my best interests as well as my client's best interests to be able to maximize the best potential. Now, these people really don't have anything specific to gain other than they want to help. And actually, the inner circle is probably the hardest part to be able to get. So if you're interested in possibly buying and flipping properties or even venturing into the real estate industry and investing, it is very important to be able to obtain and get your circle. The first circle you want to be able to get is actually your inner circle, which is your consultants. You want to be able to have your financial advisors. You also want to have your mentors. These are people, like I said again, who really want to help you to be able to succeed. Also, you'll be able to get trusted advisors, somebody who really wants you to be able to aspire and be able to get to the next level. Now, the next circle you want to get, I'm a realtor, so I've actually, since I am in the real estate industry, it gives me a little bit of advantage because I know what's going on in the market. But if you're an investor or want to learn how to invest into flipping properties, it's imperative that you're able to obtain and be able to get true partners yourself to be able to help you find the best deal. Now, these are going to be your other realtors as well as investing partners. A good friend who maybe be an accountant that knows a strategy as far as being a balance of worksheet, as well as CPAs and a lender. A good lending partner is going to be able to help you find the best deal at the less cost as possible, as well as your title company. Title companies will be able to give you a lot of information on the back end, especially if you get a property that's off market. And that's actually going to be your best deals all in all. So you want to definitely make the opportunity to be able to get those people to give you truthful, valuable information, as well as keep them close. Now, once you're able to establish and find the right deal for you, you want to be able to then get your outer circle together. Now, your outer circle is your property managers, also your appraisers, your inspectors, your appliance repair people, cleaning services, lawn services, subcontractors, as well as painters and maintenance and so forth. Now, I have the luxury in the last 20 plus years to have some great partners that work with me. They actually, at a moment's notice, will be able to reach out and be able to help me along with my projects. Now, this didn't happen overnight. This has happened over a amount of 15, 20 years of being in the business. These partners are so valuable to me that actually they're able to help me turn a 3-month project into a 3-week project. Now, the best way you can be able to keep these guys close is take care of them. And they've definitely done that over the years. So if you're interested in possibly looking to invest, this is imperative. You have to be able to build your team and build your circle in a manner that you can be able to maximize your best investment when the opportunity comes, because they do come quick and they do come fast. Now, also in regards to your inner circle and your middle circle and your outer circle, there's other people you want to be able to attain, so that way you can be able to build your team and be able to build the best people that are surrounding you to be able to maximize the investment. Now, you always want to be recruiting. So definitely the people that you want to reach out to and possibly recruit, I want to be able to focus on 3 different people or the groups per se. Now, the first of all is actually to be able to recruit a scout or scouts. Now, I'm sure each one of you probably have seen possibly the sign off the freeway or possibly signs online, learn how to be real estate, learn how to invest with real estate partners, invest with a real estate team. Basically, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to recruit you to be able to help them find the deals. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more in the next few minutes to be able to find out how to get those deals. But at the end of the day, it's basically when you're an investor, especially if you're the one who's doing the organization, if you're the one who's doing possibly the project management, you want to be able to focus and kind of be the coach, kind of be the team lead and the captain to be able to work with all the different departments, because there's a lot of things going on and there's a lot of variables that we have to focus on to be able to maximize your best investment when we're flipping a property. Next, we have to be able to look for investing buyers. These are the people that you negotiate a great deal, but let's just say that you're just obligated with another project, or possibly you're probably thinking about finding another property, or maybe you're just tied up with life. You don't have the time to rehab this property. Well, if that's the case, we basically have to be able to get partners that we could basically push the deal to. So we may, let's say, get a deal at, let's say it's 60 cents on the dollar. It needs a little bit of work, TLC, but we just don't have the time, and our guys, let's say our partners are pretty much just stretched out working on other projects. We could be able to flip that to basically another investor, add another 10%, be able to make a little bit on the back end. So let's say a $350,000, $400,000 house, that could possibly be $650,000, we could possibly sell to them for another 10%, making $60,000, $70,000 for simply just passing the deal along and then letting somebody else do it. You got to have those people ready. Are you going to be able to pitch these deals all the time? No, you're probably not. But if the case happens and a scenario comes up, you want to be prepared. The next one is actually to be able to be ready to buy and sell. And basically this is actually finding a good deal buyer. Now this isn't necessarily an investor. This is your kind of home improvement type of person. This is the person that watches a lot of HGTV. This is a person that has, let's say, a background in construction, but basically he wants to buy something, let's say 80 cents on the dollar. He wants to be able to make any type of remediations himself. He may want to do modifications himself. He may be able to look for his first time purchase and be able to buy it, move into it for like 2 years, do his own rehab in the property, and then after the 2 years, after he's able to escape capital gain, he's able to then sell the property and start the process all over again. I actually have quite a few of those clients myself where actually, if I find a good deal, make a call, they'll purchase it, and actually they'll move into the property and actually be able to do the rehab and do it, be able to live in it for a couple years and then end up selling the property. So these are people you always want to reach out to. At the end of the day, the more people you have around you to not only find the deal, but actually also help you sell the deal too, or possibly assist you in selling the deal, the more is definitely the better. Now, next thing I want to do is once you have the people that are able to help you find the property, be able to help you rehab the property, and be able to have the property be sold to, you want to be able to establish a genuine relationship. Not only do you want to establish a genuine relationship, you want to be able to establish a relationship at which it actually is strong. You want to be able to have a relationship at, it's meaningful. We're able to reach out to that person when you're in trouble, and that person can then reach out to you when you're in trouble as well. So what I'm going to do is actually, over the last 20 years of building my partnerships with my team, is actually things I've had to learn. Now I hear this all for years about how other investors or how other realtors treat their partners or construction people. So at my own experience, I'm going to share with you the best ways, the best tips to be able to solidify and strengthen those solid relationships. Now first, I want to definitely make sure that no deal together, or too big or too small, is basically an issue. You want to basically do deals together, regardless if it's a deal that each of you make a couple $1,000s, or a big deal that, let's say, there's going to be huge amounts of return on your investment. So at the end of the day, everything takes time. Relationships take time. Trust takes time. Now, the more trust you have with people, the more friendships you have with somebody, guess what? They're going to go out of their way to help you as much as you want them to help. Actually, you want to help them as well. So the best way to do that is, hey, keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, be able to, let's say, create another deal down the road because this deal wasn't too beneficial for them or financially available, hey, basically follow up. Say what you're going to do what you're going to say. The next thing I want to basically talk about is, don't talk bad about others. In our industry, it's really easy to be able to say, that person didn't do this, or this person did this, or that person didn't do that, or so forth. You know what? At the end of the day, what goes around comes around. So you want to be able to be the man or woman of integrity to be able to solidify and be able to keep those longevity partnerships, and basically be able to keep those people close to you that are going to help you, especially when you need their help. Next, don't shortchange anyone. I've heard this time and time again from different contractors as well as different investors about, the investor told this contractor if they do this, this, and this, they're going to pay him X amount of dollars. And then sure enough, when the project is done, oh, sorry, by the way, there wasn't enough equity or there wasn't enough return on our investment for you to pay what we agreed to. Hey, you know what? That's the best way to lose a good friend or possibly lose a valuable contractor. We want to be able to keep those who we work with happy. And at the end of the day, we're all in the business to make money. All of us have different priorities, different experiences, and we have different gifts that we're able to do. I myself am not a roofer. I myself am not a plumber. I don't have time, nor do I have the experience to be able to make these. So we want to be able to make great partnerships with people that are going to help us not only with our projects, but be able to benefit them as well. Next, and after you do your own business with people, you want to refer business, because at the end of the day, that's how our businesses grow. Because I have several experiences where, let's say, my pool contractor or my roofer was doing work on some other job that they actually were doing, and just so happens the homeowner tells them, hey, I'm possibly thinking about selling. Do you know a good realtor? You know what? I've gotten bunches of referrals by my partners, and actually increases my business as well. And the same, time and time in. I tell my clients all the time, you know what, I literally have two of everybody, and thank God I do, because those guys help me out and I help them out. So if somebody needs a plumber, electrician, a drywaller, a painter, if you're my client or if you've done business with me, you know I know two of everybody, and I probably have referred one person to you one time or another over the years. So if you have a business partner or if you have a team partner, you want to do your best to take care of them, because at the end of the day, they're going to take care of you. Now, we have our team established. Okay, so let's say you have your team all ready to go and you are looking for that property, and then boom, you find the property. Then you ask yourself, what am I looking for? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to focus on 4 main tactics to be able to find the best opportunities for you. We're going to talk about first of what are we looking for? Who are we looking for? As well as how in the heck are we going to find these deals, which you'll be surprised, and which properties are actually going to be the prospects versus actually the specifics of the properties that we're going to be able to find and be able to help us invest. So first of all, we want to talk about what is it we're going to be looking for. So if you're interested in possibly flipping properties, that's going to be probably the first question you're going to want to ask yourself after you establish your team and after you establish those partners for you. So you definitely want to be able to ask yourself, what is it you want to be able to do? Are you looking for, the location? You have to be looking at economics factors. Now, all of you, if you've been following social media or been following the news, guess what? We've had some big turns, some changes, and we've had some definitely different shifts in the market in the last, I would say, probably 60 to 90 days. That's imperative when you're flipping properties, because that may be equity that's built into the purchase that you may not have because the market just shifted. These are economic factors that you have to know what you're looking for. Also, you have to find out what price range. I have some investors that are looking for $1 million properties that could possibly be worth $2 million after repairs are done. I have other people, other investors, as well as myself, that only go up to, let's say, $300,000 or $400,000 to invest into, because it actually lessens the risk. Well, you have to ask yourself, how much capital do you have, and what price range are you looking at? Are you going to be catering to the high-end buyers? Or are you going to be catering possibly to the low-end buyers? Or are you going to be catering to possibly the first-time buyers? These are important questions you have to ask yourself of, when I'm looking for investment properties, what specific type of investment am I looking for? Next, you have to look at features. Now, in California, where we're at, features isn't necessarily a big item, but I do have some different types of homes that are built in different areas. Like an example, the wood streets. The wood streets are older homes built in the pre-1950s, Tudor style with pitched roofs and so forth. So if that's my taste, or if that's my type of property I want to invest in, I need to find out as much as I can about that Tudor style home or possibly wood streets home. Because more information I know, the more I could be able to rehab the property and then start marketing the property after we actually have the property ready to go. If I was, let's say, in Texas, well, in Texas, in certain areas, is a flood area. Also, as far as the way it's structured, it actually, some homes, like let's say a brick style home, is going to have a longevity of be able to upkeep versus a property that was built, let's say, out of wood or possibly plaster or other type of building material. So regardless of what city or what area, what state, what country you're in, if investing is something that you're interested in, you got to ask yourself, what type of condition, what type of construction, what type of feature, what type of amenities. These are going to be valuable when flipping a property. And little did you know, you can actually flip pretty much any type of real estate. And I'm going to cover a few different types of real estate that you could be able to cover, that you can flip properties. Now, most traditional, what we talk about in flipping properties, like you see on HGTV, house flip zombies, flipping LA, flipping Orange County, and all those other things. Typically, they stick with the residential property, which is basically a 1 to 4 unit dwelling that maybe one family or 4 families could be able to live into. More commonly known as a single family resident, or possibly a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. They're pretty much all under the same umbrella. They're pretty much all use the same type of financing, and you could be able to purchase those properties and rehab them and put them back on the market and resell it to a first-time buyer as well, depending on the area and the location. Now, depending on where the property is located at, it may differ on what the price point is, because limits of purchases for loans are different depending on the county. So definitely advise doing a little bit of research. Also, commercial buildings. Little did you know, a lot of people flip commercial buildings, like an apartment complex. The valuation is a little bit different, and it takes a little bit more complications as far as calculating the terms and conditions and so forth. But at the essence, you can still rehab them and be able to resell them after you're done fixing them. You can do the same thing with land, as well as industrial, as well as agricultural. Next, we're going to talk about the who. We're going to talk about when we're looking for flips, who do we actually contact? Who is actually the person that we want to make friends with and make contacts with, so we'll be able to put the best odds in our favor to have the best opportunities so we could be able to find our next investment. Now, I sectioned these into two categories. We actually have one category, which is owners who own the property, and then also B, which is the intermediaries, which is the gatekeepers. The first section of owners is like a FSBO, which is a for sale by owner, as well as the multiple listing service, which you contact a realtor and possibly look for a deal and be able to capitalize on investment that's available. Now, depending on the market, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, is really going to determine what your odds are in finding the investment on the multiple listing service. There's another area where you could be able to solicit homeowners, which is called the expires. You could actually go onto the multiple listing service if you have a realtor, or I could go onto multiple listing service and be able to contact homeowners that may have wanted to sell, but unfortunately because of certain conditions, maybe the condition of the property, or possibly the way it was able to show, maybe it was tenant occupied, it just didn't sell. And so basically the motivation is there to sell, but they weren't able to sell it at the price that they're looking for. That's actually a great way to be able to solicit homeowners to be able to capitalize and get a good investment, because they're tired, they want to sell, they want to be able to get the property off their books, but necessarily they may not have the money or possibly the time to be able to take care of the asset. So that's something that we could possibly search after to possibly get your next deal. Also, you could possibly go through absentee owners. Now, if you want more information about trying to obtain information and to be able to solicit and be able to get to these absentee owners, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to share with you some templates we already have to be able to solicit and market to absentee owners. Now, these letters are very specific, they're very forward, basically stating, hey, we'd like to buy your house, we're looking for homes in the general area. If you'd be interested in possibly selling, reach out to us and give us a call. We have an actually campaign already set up and written out that goes out anywhere from 2 months to 12 months, be able to solicit the homeowner with a little bit different questions to be able to find out if they're interested in selling. Now, it's a great way to do it. I've actually had some great success about possibly soliciting absentee owners or non-occupant owners to be able to capitalize on their investment, because they don't want to deal with the tenant, they're out of the area, it costs too much, and it's a hassle for them to come out here. Well, you know what? Those are great ways I've been able to capitalize on a lot of investments. So if that's something you want to do, reach out to us and let us know. Also, intermediary gatekeepers. This is actually a phenomenal way I've been able to also be able to get and achieve obtaining properties that possibly could be potential fixers. Now, I've had some great conversations with some attorneys, as well as accountants and people up in the courthouse that basically have loved ones that have passed away, that they're going through probate, that, you know, they live in a different state. The property is vacant. They know the property needs deferred maintenance, and you know what? They just don't have the time, money, or even will or finances to be able to rehab these properties. And they pretty much are just ready to say, you know what? I just want to sell this property. I don't want to deal with it. Just recently, if you've been following us on Facebook and social media, we posted a recent flip that we recently did. And that one was specifically done by an attorney that we actually had the basic opportunity to be able to reach out to and be able to get the homeowner's information. And they actually wanted to dump the property and just give it to us. So we're just like, okay, we'll take it. So we ended up flipping that property and be able to making a great opportunity to be able to capitalize on that investment. Like I said, do they come along all the time? No, they don't. But you have to be ready for the opportunity when it comes, and actually you have to have the resources. The more people know, the more opportunities you have. Next, I want to be able to cover the how. Okay, so this is actually going to be probably the most important part of actually soliciting and be able to get and have the opportunity to buy, fix, and flip properties. Now, I want to break it down real simple. There's a few different ways, and I'm just going to be able to go over to be able to contact and be able to get hold of opportunities that you guys could be able to find and be able to have opportunities to flip properties. Now, we're going to go with basics as far as you could go on several different websites and several different companies that have software that actually will give you information for phone numbers, as well as people on default and people who basically are non-owner occupants. You actually could get their phone numbers and be able to contact them. Simply say, hey, I'm an investor looking in the area. I found your property located at 123 Main Street in Colton, California, and I'd like to purchase it. You know what? It's all in the numbers. The more people you call, the more opportunities you have, and basically that's a great way to do it. And there's actually, I'm going to list a few companies here, which is called RedX, Foreclosure Radar, as well as Mojo Dialing System. Now, these different types of software companies, and there's a bunch out there, well as core fact as well, and core logic, that you could be able to get that information and data. But in essence, you could be able to find great opportunities for investments as well as properties you could flip by simply picking up the phone and getting on the software. It's actually not that expensive. It's very, very inexpensive to get that data. Also, another great way to be able to get the opportunity for investment properties that you could possibly flip is, hey, meet them in person. Now, let me just say this with caution, okay? Not everybody could do this. You have to understand, if you're soliciting somebody who possibly is in foreclosure, guess what? They're gonna be emotionally unstable. They're possibly gonna be a little sensitive. Okay, so for me, walking up to the door as an investor and saying, boom, 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 hey, I wanna sell your house because I know you're losing it, isn't necessarily the best way to be able to get somebody to work with you, okay? So this one takes a little bit more finesse. Fortunately, back in the market crash in 2007, when homeowners were in default, I was lucky enough to be accompanied with a great company that would hire me to go out and be able to consult homeowners who were in default. Now, in their training program and be able to learn their dialect and be able to learn their sympathy and empathy about, hey, they're losing a home, I was able to be trained properly to be able to door knock this homeowner and basically say, hey, how you doing? My name is Dan. I'm a local investor. I see that you are possibly, in a little trouble, maybe possibly in default because it's on public record. I'd like to have the opportunity to help you. Now, if you possibly are, needing some additional funds, I'd like to have the opportunity to look at your house, be able to give you money for your home, and be able to help you stay in that property for a short amount of time on a small tenant agreement, and be able to purchase the home and be able to work with you to be able to help you pass this hard time. Now, in that essence, that was actually my best way to be able to find great opportunities. I was actually able to find a lot of investment properties that I was able to buy and hold as well as buy and sell by just going on foreclosure radar, find out who's in default, because it's all public record. And like I said, there's a bunch of different companies that are out there that you could be able to get that information for. So that way you could be able to find out who's in default and be able to introduce yourself, simply asking for an opportunity to be able to help them. Now that's the key. You're going to the property or going to the person who has to sell to be able to help them, not take advantage of them. So like I said, not everybody could do this. Not everybody could be able to door knock. It takes a little bit of finesse, a little bit of training. If you like that training, again, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you out with that. Moving on. Okay, so there's ways you can be able to get investments. You can be able to get part of network parties, as well as seminars and workshops like this. Hey, with all these guys right here, we could be able to network with each other and be able to come across deals that we could possibly push to or possibly flip to another investor. So these are great ways you could possibly get investments by just getting to know people. Another great way you could be able to find great investment opportunities and properties that you could possibly flip is simply solicitation, direct mail letters, possibly door hangers, as well as flyers. Like I mentioned before, we already did the hard work for you. If this is something that you want to do, to be able to do solicitations, be able to send letters, postcards, not only do we have access to those people who are default, but also people that possibly may want to sell. We actually already have letters already drafted, and all you have to do is type in your name, type in your address, put it in an envelope, and send it on its way. Of course, per piece mail, we've averaged anywhere from 65 cents all the way up to $1. So depending on how much you want to distribute, obviously affects your cost. So if I was possibly thinking about sending out 100 letters per month over the next 12 months, well, that's going to cost me a little less than $1,500. Now, if we decide that, hey, we're going to solicit $1,000 or 1,000 people per month, well, add another zero to that. That's going to cost us probably about $15,000. You know what? It's all in the numbers. This is a numbers game. The more people we're able to contact, the more opportunities we have to be able to find that great deal. Okay? So also, I'm sure you guys have seen on the web, we'll buy your house. We buy any houses, any condition. Well, you could possibly put that on the web. There are plenty SEO companies that actually could build a website for you, be able to put information on Google Ads, as well as do all the solicitations on search engine optimization, and be able to help you go online to be able to find opportunities that, let's say, a consumer is going online to possibly sell a property to a cash buyer. Now, over the last 2 years, there's been several iBuyer companies that have been doing this. Primarily, this has actually been their sole source of possibly soliciting, advertising, and marketing properties that flip. Has anybody heard of the term iBuyer, Zillow Buyer, Purple Dot? The list goes on and on about companies who are basically saying, we'll buy your house cash, any condition, whenever you want, we'll buy it. Well, guess what? They're doing exactly what we're doing. They're trying to be able to get a consumer to sell them the property. They never say that they're going to pay market value. All they're simply saying in advertising is, hey, we want to buy your house, okay? In essence, you could do the same thing. Now, probably not at the volume that they're doing, but hey, that's okay. We don't want to be able to flip all the homes in the United States. We want to look in specific areas. And like we talked about before, you have to determine what areas you're going to be wanting to buy and be able to flip to find your next opportunity. So the big guys, the big companies, Zillow, Trulia, as well as Purple Dot, home stores, all those other places, they basically go on the web. So that's actually their primary use of possibly finding good deals to possibly buy and flip. So as well as other, we have print marketing, we have street signs, we actually have telephone signs, billboard signs, bandit signs. At first, I didn't know what a bandit sign is, but I know what it is now because basically a friend of mine who was an investor basically said, all I do is bandit signs. And first of all, I thought, like bandit, like cover your eyes with, like that type of bandit, like a thief kind of bandit. And he started laughing at me. He's like, no, you moron. He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. He said, basically, bandit signs are those signs you see on the side of the freeway. They're green or they're yellow. We buy houses, fix flip properties. We buy your home, homes cash. Basically, those are called bandit signs. And hey, if you didn't know that, you learned something today. So hey, congratulations. I just learned that not too long ago, so that was kind of funny for me. So all in all, these are different ways you could possibly solicit and be able to get investment properties that you could possibly buy and sell as well. So in a quick recap, we could actually go through is basically we could use the phone if you're not a sociable person, but you're good on the phone, or we go in person. If you're like me and like to talk and like to get in front of people, hey, this is my creme de la creme. If you are actually a person who's very shy and non-confrontational, then you know what, this is actually a great way of solicitation because it's non-confrontational. You solicit people, send them letters, you never touch somebody, you never talk to somebody, and the phone number you have for them to contact you if they are interested, hey, somebody else can pick up the phone. So you don't necessarily have to be in contact with somebody, but you could actually have an opportunity to be able to solicit them. Also via web, like I said, you don't necessarily have to be in front of somebody, but use technology. But just so you know, the solicitation as well as the web marketing and print marketing are going to be more expensive. That's the reason why I separate them. On the phone, it's very inexpensive to pick up the phone and call somebody. You can make over 1,000 phone calls within a week's time with the speed dialer, as well as a company that gives you the information. So it'll continue calling people until somebody picks up the phone, and then you could actually talk to the person and solicit them. Again, you don't necessarily have to be the person who's talking. You could actually hire somebody or have a partner. Maybe they're really good at talking. Maybe you could hire somebody that's just really good salesperson, has like a car salesman personality, loves to talk, loves to pitch, loves to have an opportunity. My wife's pointing at me, so that would be me as far as soliciting. But you would want to have somebody that's really good on the phone. You may be really good at basically strategizing. So partner up with people. The larger your group, the better your team, the more you can benefit. So we basically want to be able to look at what are the most beneficial ways, honestly, to be able to solicit and find the best flip deal. You know what? There's actually a survey of over 1,000 investors, professional investors, that this is all they do. And they ask them specifically, what is the best way you're able to find the best deals to flip? Now, according to the statistics of the survey that they sent out, they said that 32% of most of the opportunities that they were able to flip, they found from partners. They found from other individuals that were either in the real estate business or possibly in the lending business or possibly part of a networking business that they had a lead to possibly get their next flip. Next is actually 28% says that they got their best deals or their best opportunities from other realtors. So I have other realtors contact me all the time. Hey, if we're interested in possibly looking for flip properties, if you have anything coming along, give us a call. We'll give you a finder's fee as well as partner with you and sell the property. Okay, so if you are possibly thinking about partnering up with multiple realtors, that's a great way to be able to reach out and be able to spread your wings a little bit and be able to cast your web out for more opportunities to be able to have investments come along. Next is about 10% of the deals is door knocking. Now this is pretty much swayed depending on your personality and how you're good at it. We all have different gifts, we all have different strengths. Some of us are better at talking than others. Hence being like me. I like to talk, as you can see, and thank you very much for listening. Well, some people are not. Some people are a little bit shy. Some people are uncomfortable with being in a position where they have to talk to a complete stranger. Like my daughter, she will literally walk into a classroom and basically say, "Hey, my name is Becky. What's yours? Why are you here?" If you're that type of personality, hey, door knocking is a great way to be able to find opportunities. Well, if you actually, 9% of it was on sign ads and kind of like those bandit signs I was talking about. And then 7% is actually off of foreclosure searches. Like, let's say they went on to Foreclosure Radar or a couple other different foreclosure websites to be able to get that information so they could possibly solicit them or possibly door knock them and go after them directly. So as far as a survey that was taken upon 1,000 investors that do this on a constant basis, these were the 5 best ways that they're able to solicit and be able to obtain their next deal. Now, we have to find out, okay, now we're talking about the which. We talked about the how, we talked about the what, now we gotta talk about the which. Basically meaning we have to find out and qualify the lead and be able to focus on the prospects to be able to find out which are actually a good lead. So we actually have to learn how to underwrite a file or underwrite a flip. Now, just so you know, this is a quick disclosure. Every single person who contacts you or you're in contact with that says that they have an investment property opportunity for you isn't necessarily going to be a good opportunity. Not every opportunity that you have or come across is going to be a good potential flip. So out of experience, I've had several times where somebody will contact me or somebody gave me a number of, hey, this seller really needs to sell. Okay, fantastic. Those are things I like to do. I like to help out. Well, when I would arrive at the property, the seller had really unrealistic expectations. The house was possibly only worth $1 million, and the seller wanted, at a moment's notice, $1.2 million to be able to sell a property so he could go to Florida. Well, I'm not going to buy his house for $200,000 over market. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that? So, unfortunately, he got a little upset, and he says, "Why thought you buy your homes cash?" And I told him, well, I do buy homes cash, but it has to be beneficial. If you were an investor, would you lose money? I don't think so. And I'm not going to lose money either. So not every opportunity that comes to you is going to be a good investment deal. So I want to be able to teach you a little information on what to look for. So let's say that you took a proactive approach and you decided, hey, I'm going to be an investor. I got my team, I got my inner circle, I got my mid circle, I have my outer circle, I have my contractors in place, I have my accountants in place, I have my strategic people in place, I'm ready to go. And people are calling and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. Would you be interested in it? And would you purchase my house cash? Your first response is always yes, but let me go look at the property and let me look at the details. Once you look at the property, we're gonna learn about how to underwrite the file. Like I said, flipping properties has a lot of variables. There's a lot of risk involved. You have to look at the market economics. You have to be able to look at the trend, how much the house is worth, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So the best way I can prepare you to be able to invest in real estate and you to be able to get the most maximum capital out of your investment is you have to learn to what to look for. Now, the 4 main areas I want you to be able to learn to be able to look for in investing in property is we're going to have to look at real quick. The steps are the cost of the purchase. Then we're going to be able to look at the cost of the repairs. Then we're going to look at the carrying costs, and then also we're going to be able to look at the sales costs. Now, when we sell the property. Now, before we do all that, we have to be able to look at the value. Now, there's 4 ways actually I determine values when I am interested in possibly flipping a property or possibly looking to invest a home. First and foremost, I'm looking at a full repair, and this is actually called an ARV, which is the after repair value. Now, for this value, this is assuming I'm doing a full rehab of the property. I'm doing a new roof, I'm putting in new plumbing, I'm doing exterior yard maintenance, I'm putting in a driveway, a garage, so forth and so forth and so forth. Depending on the property and depending on the repairs needed, that will possibly be my first value, what I'm looking for. So let's say I pick up a property for $300,000, but after I do all my remediations, the after repair value, let's say according to the way the market's showing, is worth $500,000 to $525,000. Now, that would obviously be my first choice of what I want to do, because what it does, it maximizes my investment, and it basically is enabling me to be able to make the most amount of that investment as possible. Now this is going to take a little bit more because obviously there's going to be more work involved. So the next thing I want to do is actually getting into an assessment or a value of a fast sale value, okay, also known as FSV. Now this is a scenario where, let's say the market's super hot like it was last year, where there's literally 30 buyers for every one property. This is primarily the value that I'm looking for. I'm basically just trying to make it look pretty and then getting it right back on the market. So depending on the market, depending on the economics, depending on the demand, and also depending on the supply of homes currently on the market that are comparable to my house, this may be probably the value I'm going to be going for. Again, every market is a little bit different. Determining on where the market is really will determine what you're looking for. If it's a property that you're going to have to do a full rehab, or a property that you're going to want to do very minimal work in, such as, you know, maybe a little bit of landscaping, cleaning up, you know, cutting the grass, or a little bit of facelift, like maybe new flooring and new paint, you know, that may be an option as well. It's beneficial because you could be able to get in and get out quick. You know, we could actually rehab something very simply like a fast sale, and that could give me like 2 weeks. I could do the flooring, I could repaint the property, and actually I could get the house back on the market within 30 days. So for me, that's actually really beneficial in a seller's market. So the next one I want to look at is called an AV, which is assigned value. Now this is going to be a scenario where you got a great deal. You know, the homeowner is in default, they can't afford the property, they got to have the property closed within a couple weeks, and they're ready to just dump it, you know, because they have something else they have to go, or somewhere, a job relocation, and they say, okay, you know what, if you give me 60 cents on the dollar, I'm out of here. Well, in that scenario, I'll simply flip that over to my investor. I'll basically take 10% of it and basically let my investor buy the property 65 to 70 cents on the dollar. So depending on the property's condition, depending on the value, again, depending on the market, that may be another opportunity. But when I find a property, that's something that I look for. Also, look for a referral deal value. Okay, so there may be scenarios where the margins are just too low. For me, myself, I always look at something to buy it at no more than 65 cents on the dollar. That's my accounting as far as what I'm willing to invest into, what my risk level is. Now, if I have a scenario that, let's just say it's in a great area, a great location, it's maybe not an area that I'm familiar with, but another investor may be familiar with, you know what, he may be willing to be able to take on that deal and be able to give me a finder's fee, anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. Again, it depends on the numbers. Numbers are everything, depending on the property, what it's worth, and so forth and so forth. So before we actually get into anything, we want to determine a value of what the after repair value is, the fast sale value, as well as an assignable value, as well as a referring value. Okay, so when I get into an opportunity where there is a possible lead where I could possibly make some money, these are the values that I look for. Now, as I mentioned before, we actually are looking for 4 main factors. Once we have our team, once we find the property, once we have the property ready to go, it has to make sense. And these are very, very vital that you need to understand. So when purchasing a property, the first thing I want to know is how much that value of the property is, depending on the economics and depending on the demand and what my competition is. So I really want to find out, okay, when I'm going to purchase it, how much is it going to cost me? And when I first got into real estate, I pretty much just did things that winged it, okay? Sometimes I won, sometimes I didn't. The less work I did, basically the more money I lost. So as time went on, I realized, okay, the money is in this worksheet. And to be able to underwrite the investment and be able to see if it's even worth my time, okay? So we're gonna focus and spend a little bit more time on this, particularly because this is gonna be vital. You may find the perfect deal, but if it doesn't fit this section of financial analysis, you know what, it's best just to walk away and wait for the next one. So if we're working for scouts or other people who are working with us to be able to invest into the properties and find a property for them, we got to come into the deal. We got to be able to make them money, because they're not making money, they're not going to be working with us or for us for very long. So we have to calculate what their finder's fee is, which is right here. Then we have to find out what's wrong with the property, if there is anything, because before we start calculating the cost for repairs, our inspectors are going to have to let us know, hey, what's wrong with the property? Is there a faulty septic tank? Is there a faulty roof? Is there faulty plumbing, a faulty electricity in the property? So in the very beginning when I talked about, you have to have reliable contractors and inspectors to be able to work with you, so that way you could be able to know what you're walking into. Now, after you pay all your expenses as far as purchasing the property, you have to be able to come in with the closing costs, which is basically your escrow fees, your title fees, depending on what type of loan that you're getting, whether it's a standard FHA conventional loan or possibly a sub type of loan where it's a private money loan. Those costs are going to be a little more expensive. So first step we have to look at is how much is it going to cost us to acquire this asset and how we're able to get the property so that way we can invest onto it. So that's going to be our first step. And I have a little breakdown here for you. If you'd like more information or if you'd like for us to be able to give you a copy of the breakdown, what to look for, just reach out to us in Messenger with your email address. We'll be more than happy to send it to you. The second thing I want to look at is once you acquire the property, how much is it going to cost? How much is it going to be able to remediate? How much money are you going to have to invest to be able to get that property up to the condition you want, to be able to sell it, to be able to maximize the most amount of money? Now, once we're done completing all the repairs, hey, guess what? A typical home is going to be on your books anywhere from 60 to 90 days, which means you're going to have general costs, so you have general expenses. So you're going to have basic expenses that you're going to need to be able to maintain the property in its current condition. Because the last thing you want to do is to rehab an entire property, spend $60,000 to $70,000 rehabbing it, and then kind of find out when it's being shown the grass is all tall or possibly somebody broke into it. Okay, so you're going to have to pay additional fees, not only in your taxes, but maintenance, utilities, and then if you have a mortgage or a private money loan, you may have a payment that's coming up in the next 45 to 60 days. So you have to calculate in that. A normal flip, if you do your job correctly and if you have the correct partners working with you, should be less than 90 days. So you have to account 3 months worth of expenses to be able to have rehab and be able to put back on the market and be able to close escrow. Okay, so you have to calculate at least 90 days. I've had some flips that were less. I've had some flips that I held on for like 6-7 months. And longer you hold on to an investment, the more money you're losing. So time is going to be imperative that you have to be able to look for. Next you want to do is once you have a buyer, once the house is already done, you have to pay for costs and expenses. Now where I got in the most mistakes made is actually I didn't see consulting from my tax preparer. And so that's what got me in the very end, is I didn't know that I had to pay taxes on the money that I made in rehabbing a property. And little did I not know that in the last 15 years, the tax codes have changed for people who are buying and flipping property. Now they're being labeled as self-proprietor, self-employment. So self-employment tax gets on top of there. So it's best to be able to have your team involved to find out what's going to be the tax ramifications and how can I shelter the best amount of capital gain for me once the investment's completed. And then you have to be able to calculate, how much is it going to cost me to sell this property? Well, you have to think of agent's commission. At the end of the day, no matter what you look at, if you look at National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, or any statistics, about 83% of all homes are sold online. And about 67% of those homes that are sold online actually are sold with a cooperating agent, which means if I'm a realtor and I'm selling my own property, odds are I'm going to be working with another realtor who's bringing with a buyer. Actually, the odds are against me. I would say probably 2 out of 3 times I'm going to be dealing with another realtor. So for me, since I'm a realtor and I'll be selling my own property, yes, I'm going to be saving money, but I still have to pay a commission. Okay, so my commission that I would pay because I'm the agent would be like 2%. But if you yourself were actually an investor purchasing it and you need my services to sell the property, well, I charge a percentage as well as I have to pay the other agent a percentage to being a possibly buyer, and that could range anywhere from 5 to 6% just to pay agents' commissions. Well, also typically it's customary that the seller pays the buyer's home loan to you. That could range anywhere from $350 to $550. Again, there's a lot of variables in there. Also, termite clearance. For certain types of loans, there will be a requirement for a termite clearance. And a termite clearance could be anywhere from $500 all the way to $1,500. Again, that's where your home inspectors are going to be able to give you the heads up and let you know, hey, just let you know, you're going to have approximately $2,000, $2,300, $5,000 in termite repairs. Every penny counts. And actually, unless you underwrite this file correctly, you're going to lose money. So the best way to capitalize and maximize your investment is you have to do the calculations. Also, we have to look at our standard closing costs. So you're paying closing costs going in the deal, and you're going to have to pay closing costs going out of the deal. So for your normal buyer's closing costs, if you're a seller, it's going to range anywhere from 5 to 7%. So just think about when purchasing and buying and flipping a property, just for your standard costs involved from buying it to selling it is going to range anywhere from 10 to possibly 15%. depending on the property, as well as the additional costs that are actually involved in the cost of repairs and general maintenance. Now, depending on your tax status and how you file your taxes, it's really going to cut into your gain at the end of the deal. Okay, so if you're possibly thinking of looking at properties and buying and flipping them, and if this was just too much information for you, well, you know what? I got one easy solution. Just call us. You know, this is something we do almost every single day, every single week for over 20 years. Okay, so not only do we buy properties, we actually look at the analysis, we look at the data, we look at all factors that involve that are able to be able to capitalize not only investments for us, but also for you. This is what we do. This is what we're passionate in. I love real estate. I've been doing it for years, and I love helping people. So if myself or my wife, Melissa, could be able to answer any question, just feel free to reach out to us. You could be able to reach us via Messenger, or possibly if you want more information, if I went over these topics a little bit too fast, you know, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you, schedule an appointment, go over more details. Like I said, again, if you want more information as far as what categories to look at, expenses for acquiring an investment property, the costs and expenses for selling it, and all general maintenance costs in the middle, reach out to us. If you just want to get into the business and be able to find out how to get your best deals and be able to start soliciting homeowners or possibly other investment opportunities or investment companies and be able to join groups, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to give you that information as well. So either way, hopefully you enjoyed something. Hopefully you were able to learn a little bit of something as well. I had a great time for those who are listening. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. We greatly appreciate your opportunity to be able to stay. Thank you everyone for who attended. If you have any questions, we can talk after everything is done and we close out. So all in all, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next. All right, bye-bye.